All right, as the business owner, it's easy to fall into the routine of always working in the business instead of on the business. You're always reacting to what's going on instead of feeling like you're prepared and planning ahead. It kind of leads to things being chaos, and it feels like a lack of control. And that's what I want to hit on today. We actually had a great conversation with another business owner, and they came to us and were like, I just feel like I have a lack of control what's going on in the business, always just feeling reactive to what's going on. And what we really hit home on is being able to plan ahead and how that affects your day to day, month to month, and feeling more in control. It's like, okay, well, it's obviously plan ahead. And well, it comes from forecasting. That's the main thing I want to talk about. And that's what I'm going to show you an example of. And where this kind of comes from is if you just set some time, and we're going to give you an easy example that you can do, that anyone can do, to forecast your revenue based off of your goal for the year and be able to figure out, all right, once you have that number, everything comes from there. What your marketing efforts are, what your ad spend is, once you know where you need to get, you figure out, all right, well, I know I need to reach this revenue this month, and it's going to be about this budget. It's all obviously flexible, but that gives you guidelines to where you want to go. And it's like, all right, well, what do we need to do that? Do we need to create more content? Do we need to work on some SEO? Do we need to revamp our welcome flow? Do we need to launch some new sales? Do we need to prepare for a product launch? Everything ends up becoming a lot more simple once you know where you're going and the revenue that you're shooting for, expecting that month. So then it's like, all right, a lot of businesses see, they have Q4 and they have January is still decent. Then February dips, you see a little bit of uptick in March, and then it kind of falls off through the summer and then tips back up in September, October. Now, that's not all businesses. Obviously, if you have summer products, then totally different. Or if you just have a very large catalog that applies at different times of year, or maybe you have sales for Mother's Day and Father's Day or whatever. So your I'll say monthly revenue may be different in other companies, your trends. But then you know what to expect though once you have that forecast based off your previous year's revenue or previous year's revenue. And it makes it easier to know what to expect, plan things out. You start to feel like you have more control again. So I'm going to go through an easy example of a financial analysis. I'm sorry, not financial analysis. It's part of that, but a forecast. So share my screen here. We're going to go through this. So these are our made up numbers, and you can see this is coming from a larger template around a financial analysis, which we can cover on a different day. I actually updated these to be more recent years, but I didn't update the dates of the years here. But for the sake of example, pretend this is all 2024. This is our forecast for 2025. And then this is our actual, again, all made up numbers. None of this is anyone's actual data. But say you had 8.8 mil last year and you want to get to 10 this year. Well, we're creating this forecast based off of last year's revenue and the distribution of revenue. So, unless you had like a product launch or something major that would skew the trends of your revenue, then most of this will stay pretty consistent on the percentage revenue you're generating each month compared to the total. So it's like, then we take the total, we take that percentage you generated. So 7.71% of the revenue came in January. Well, that's what we're then forecasting for January based off the new total, which is 10 million. And this is just a made up goal that this company might want because they want to get over the hump and get to 8 figures. So it's like, all right, with these percentages of distribution of revenue every month, and you can forecast out with those correlations what each month will look like. We take similar correlations on revenue compared to the paid media cost or the ad spend to generate what that will look like. And of course, this is very, very, very simple. It doesn't take into consideration a lot of other factors. So don't take this as like the best way to forecast, but it'll get you started for sure and help asking the right questions based off of this forecast. So then you can see, all right, well, if we're going to spend that much more, assuming we're going to have the same efficiency, this is the ad spend it'll take to get there, to go from 252 to 285. All right, what do we need to do to actually meet that goal? That's where you can start going through here. We're like, all right, maybe we need to run a sale certain months, or come up with a different offer, do more emails certain months. I mean, the opportunities are endless here. This is where you start to take things to your business. Like, all right, how do we get here? And you can start realizing, all right, where do we need to focus more of this? If more of your revenue comes from Q4, do we need to come up with, start focusing on Q4 right now and think about what we're going to run then, and have that be as good as it can be to make sure it gives you the best shot to get to your goal. So what all of this does when you do this forecast is it kind of gives you expectations. It gives you an idea where you need to be every month. And then when you're measuring it, and it's like, all right, 800K, they need to be at 770. They got their goal by 29K in this instance. So, if next month's slower, and for the sake of keeping things profitable, you have to pull back and say you generated 775 or something below the goal, but January went so well that it balances out. And if you need to balance it out to keep profitability up that month and cash flow, then you're fine. So what this does, it makes you ask good questions on how you're doing, and it gives you that sense of feeling of control back. So, for example, we were talking to this particular business owner about their team. It's like, okay, well then, if that's the goal, we know what ad spend will generally look like. If everything remains the same, we know what revenue is going to look like. And you start outlining the projects that are going to get you to that goal. Then you have those projects. You're like, okay, who do we need? Who has capacity? And you start figuring those things out. And maybe you find out you need to hire someone else. Maybe you need to get a freelancer for a project. Maybe you need to hire an agency for a project. That's where it starts to give you back that control. You can be ahead of the game on where you need to be. If I know I need someone to get this project done before Q4, because that's when we need all of it ramped up, then all right, now I know I need, probably by July or August to have someone hired and onboarded, so we can get this done by Q4, where the situation may be. So that is a really good way to take a very simple forecast and kind of give yourself that feeling of control as a business owner, because you live in a world of chaos where you have a never-ending to-do list, and it makes you just fall in this trap of working in the business all the time. And you need to be able to feel like you have that control, and that's going to give you a sense of calm as the day-to-day grind of being a business owner wears and tears on you. So I hope that is helpful. If you have questions or you want a copy of this forecast, go to our website. It's eastondigital.com. We have a contact us button at the top of the menu. Give us a shout. Say you saw this video and want a copy of the forecast. We'll shoot it over to you, and hopefully that'll help you. We'll even help you fill it out if you'd like. And hopefully that'll give you some control and feeling of calm back on your day-to-day life as a business owner.